Hey guys, what's good? You're listening and watching Cat's Corner, episode 4. I am your host, Gian Perez, with my co-host, Daniel Trujillo, and of course, the star of the show, Mr. Cat himself. Are we cool saying your last name, or you want to
Let's just go with Cat.
We're
good.
To Cat.
We're good.
Here at DJ's Universal Comics in Studio City, California. How's it going, man?
Man, it's going pretty good. Mentioning Gian Perez, I'm like, oh, I got to talk about this. So yesterday I got blessed with Mr. George Perez walking in my shop.
Really?
The man, the legend. I mean, I was like, what? Got my first sketch. He actually did a sketch, and he said it was the first sketch of the year. So, then he looks good. He has some health issue, talking about it. He's retired. He does covers here and there, but he said he's good. So we won't see him gracing pages of comic books that much anymore. But yeah, as a fan of this stuff and growing up in the 80s reading Teen Titans and all this, I was like, it was so good to actually talk with them,
right?
Talk shop, and I was like a kid in the candy store. And it was his friend was with him. I was like, we're just like two doofuses just googling over godness base. I mean, fuck, if it wasn't for him, and just like everybody else from that era, we wouldn't have half the stuff that we got now.
Absolutely. He's a legend. He's Puerto Rican, right?
Yes, Puerto Rican. That's what I brought you in, my friend. Down in the, Puerto Rico.
That's great.
So next thing you know, I'll have Don Omar walk through the door too. Just break out in
just out of nowhere.
Just out of nowhere.
Big come bufa, I love it.
So yeah, it was really good to see him, and glad that he's doing. He has had some health issues last year, but he's good, looks good, and we'll just see him on the convention circuit pretty much.
And I'm glad he's stopping by local shops and stuff too. Does it work? Does he live in California?
No, he's visiting, but he's been in my shop before a few years back, and I missed him. That's when Heather was with me, and he came in on a Sunday,
right?
And then I saw him at a show, and we talked about it. It's like, oh yeah, so you're a Cat, So it was cool, So it was good to see him back in the shop, come in and visit, because he's been here before. It's not like he was a stranger, so it felt good. It felt really good.
That's really cool.
I got pictures with him on my Instagram account, DJ's Universal Comics, so check it out.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So today I want to talk about Black Panther is right around the corner.
Right.
So
I can't wait.
I can't. I mean, it looks different.
Wait.
Yeah.
I mean, there better be a 4-hour cut DVD Blu-ray release on this movie, because they had it and they had to cut it down to 2.5. But there is a 4-hour cut, what I hear, so I want to see it.
Right. You were telling me last week, you heard that there's so much good stuff that they didn't know what to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can sit there and, I'm looking, it's like, why does this movie look so good? And it's like, because it's true to the character, it's true to the book. If you look at going back to the 60s when they introduced them, that's how Wakanda was. At the time, it wasn't like, a poor state, whatever. No, they were technologically advanced. Right. They had vibranium. They had shit that the normal world didn't have. So to see it translated in the screen, man, I can't wait.
Yeah,
that's awesome. It just looks good. The cast looks good, and just everything. Solid story. You got a good director, the guy that did Creed. So it's a good.
He went to USC, He's a.
You know what? I don't have a college experience, but I love USC, and I think it's because of what's the coach from the Seattle? His era.
Oh, Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll era. I loved. Well, I can't stand college sports. It's just but watching the Trojans play under it felt like I was watching an NFL game. Yeah. It was phenomenal.
It was a factory back there.
It was phenomenal. Yeah. So I became a USC fan because of that. Anybody else, I don't care.
So, if I'm new to the character, is there anything you recommend for me to pick up?
Well, you got a month before it comes out, so Marvel is pushing pretty much. You got a bunch of collections that they're bringing back in print. The Hudlin era, which was great. People go crazy for Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, but you know what? Hudlin, you look at his run with Ta-Nehisi Coates, it's pretty much almost the same run.
Yeah.
Then you have Christopher Priest, which give us something else. They're all good solid runs. So they're all available in, they repackage them in the Epic format. A little bit thicker, a little bit more expensive. If you're cheap, you go on Amazon, find them for like 45% off. And if you want to support a store, you go in. But yeah, you got that, and then
if you want to get the individual books, the priest runs aren't that expensive either.
No, you can probably pick them up cheap on eBay, whatever. Will cost you more for the postage than the actual books.
Now, did he come up with Panther's security detail? Was that his creation, the Dora Milaje?
You know what? I don't remember. It's been a while, but I believe so. I think he did. So that was a nice addition that we'll get to see on the big screen. So it's yeah. But then you have they're doing this Rise of the Black Panther right now. It's on issue 1. So you're gonna get it up to the lead of the movie, so you get a background story on the character. So there's stuff. You can pick up the Ta-Nehisi Coates run. That's on trades, and you'll see a lot of that royalty effect that they're playing off in the movie.
Right.
But that goes back to the Kirby days. I mean, they were royalty from the get-go.
Yeah.
It was the way it was, and I think that's what makes this movie so beautiful, because you as a fan, you don't have to be that or that or that. If you're a comic book fan and you love your comics and you love Black Panther, it's coming to life, brother. It's gonna be exactly how it was envisioned in the comic books. I can't wait.
I mean, he was probably my favorite part of Civil
Right.
War. That.
Oh man, and he's such a badass character. They really build him up to be that royal pain in the ass.
Right.
Don't fuck with Black Panther. You know what I mean? He's yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's just gonna be another Marvel movie that it's how you gonna beat that.
Yeah.
And we were talking early in the shop. I was talking to a couple of guys, and they're both film background, post-production, writer, and they feel like, oh, it's gonna collapse at some point. Man, I'm sorry. If you're Marvel Studios, I can't see them doing anything wrong. I really can't, because they have so much more at stake to make sure that these movies are quality movies. Because all it is, it's a big commercial for the Marvel brand, for the Disney brand, which goes into the parks, merchandise, and everything else. It's like I said before, now Disney has a lot more at stake to make sure that these movies are great, or good movies, solid movies. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, and now they got so much source material now, and they could do so much stuff. I was talking to a friend, and they have the schedule right now, but I mean, now I'm not going to be shocked if they start pushing back the second Infinity War and so on and so forth, because now they have, once they
have to introduce the rest of the
exactly, and they did it already with Spider-Man. Once they got the rights for Spider-Man with Sony, they pushed everything back to get that Spider-Man.
To get the Spider-Man, and don't be surprised. I mean, I get feeds on my phone, YouTube feeds, and somebody was nitpicking at the Infinity poster where he caps, everybody's running in Wakanda, and somebody had circled, there's a guy with 3 claws behind. I mean, I don't know what it may be. They're stretching, but I heard you'll see things that will probably lead into X-Men, Fantastic Four. I mean, don't be surprised if in either Captain Marvel or Guardians 2, there's literally you're flying, space shot, and you see a retro 1960s rocket called the Fantastic.
Yeah.
And inside there's 4 humans that are in stasis, but they'll have powers, cosmic powers, which will be the Fantastic Four. Don't be surprised that in any of the movies there's a redhead walking down the street with the guy with quartz glasses.
Right.
Not mentioned it, but you'll start seeing. I mean, you're seeing it in comic books. They're really pushing towards that cohesion of storytelling that they lost once they start messing around because they didn't have the movie rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four. So they're.
I think what people are forgetting about too is it's not just Fantastic Four, and it's not just all the villains.
Everything
that come
else.
on the Skrulls.
Yeah, look, the Skrulls are in and people keep telling me, oh, there was a shared deal with Fox. I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't hear anything. I don't know. Maybe I'm not tuned like everybody else, but there's that fallback. If you don't use them, you lose them. So I don't know. Whatever. I mean, it might be situated. commentary above my pay grade.
Are you familiar with the Skrulls? So the Skrulls are like, there's basically this race of aliens that
shapeshifters.
They're shapeshifters. They're all shapeshifters, and they're of all the major storylines of the last 15, 20
the
years,
alien things?
The green guys.
Yeah.
They replaced them in Avengers.
That's why they created Chitauri, because they couldn't
I know what you're
use,
talking about now. I guess I've never said the word out loud. I just read
Skrull?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So,
they're considered part of Fantastic Four.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh, look at all of a sudden the Super Skrulls part of the Infinity poster with the stones in the comic books.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that character like pushed in a long time. So now all of a sudden, you got a Marvel 2-in-1 book.
Yeah.
How far? I mean, they're not going to throw a Fantastic Four book at you right away, but they're going to build. So
Absolutely.
when they are ready, again, don't be surprised if you see appearances in the MC Marvel Cinematic Universe of these characters before they get their own shot.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
Dude, I mean, we're talking Disney. We're talking a family-oriented company. Don't you think they can do? They've made plenty of family-friendly movies. Incredibles, animated.
The Incredibles are basically the Fantastic
But imagine
Four,
what they can do with what Marvel can do with their own Fantastic Four.
Absolutely. No, I don't think they'll screw it up. That's for sure.
Well, my thing is, at some point, if you inundate an audience too much, if you overdo it, they will get tired of it. And DC might be the ones that kind of kills it by putting out garbage.
Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, okay, so I heard they hired somebody, the guy in charge of what was he in charge of?
Yeah, they cleaned house. They got rid of the.
Yeah, but they hired some new guy in charge of everything. It's the guy that the people with Insidious, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Blumhouse, James Wan.
Yeah.
They're just gonna slash this shit out of budgets. Is that what the new?
I mean, look. Marvel's so ahead of the game. I mean, yeah, people love to bitch and complain. But honestly, if I'm a company and I'm seeing a success, and remember what I said. I mean, Disney/Marvel, they're not. Yeah, their movies are primarily geared towards the next generation of consumers. You know what I mean? So I mean, they're going after my kids. The 13-year-old, the 14-year-olds, the 15, the 17-year-olds. They're throwing stuff out, and to us, they say, look, they know we're gonna go see it. You can bitch and complain about Star Wars, which I haven't seen yet, but you're gonna go see it because you're curious.
For Blu-ray or what the fuck?
I'm waiting for time, bro. I'm waiting for time. I was planning to go this weekend, but I got a wedding Saturday, so I don't know when I'll go. I might go Sunday, but I want to see it because people want to talk to me about it, and I want to talk about it too.
Yeah.
But so in their minds, they're gonna be like, you know what? Adult market, screw them. I'm making a movie for my next audience.
Right.
We're gonna go see it, and again, Marvel has a formula. One guy in charge who understands the comic book world, and he's given, as a fan, I'm not tired of Marvel produced movies yet. I really am not.
I totally am. I'll still go, like you said.
But how can you be tired when they're good?
Because of the formula.
But it's a good formula.
I don't know. You can only
watch. It's a simple formula. The comic books are the same. Everything in life, it's simple.
So you got to forgive Daniel because one, he's not really a comic book fan, and two, he's a film guy. So he's.
I know, and that's when I talk to people.
There's 17 Fast and the Furious movies, and they're gonna make.
I don't know why you bring that up as if I champion that movie.
I'm not telling you, but what I'm saying is that there's a market out there, and people will.
But
still
no one's disagreeing with that. I've never said that.
No, I know what he's saying, but see, you have to. Maybe it's different for me because I don't care to be in the movie industry, just like I don't care to write comics. So I read them. For me, it's just pure entertainment. Now you have vested interest. Look, you're shooting this. You want to break. So you're seeing it through your eyes.
But see, that's not why I don't like it, though.
But you need to stop that.
I loved when the first movies came out once a year. Okay, this is the Captain America year. This is the Thor year.
But you can't.
I know, but now you have 3-4 movies a year, and it's the same formula.
Because there's so much product.
It's only been 2 movies a year for the past.
I'm just saying the formula is the same. we know exactly how Doctor Strange is going to end. We know exactly how
because
Thor 3 is going to end.
It's
you
a
know?
comic
They're
book.
based
and,
on comic
and,
books, yeah.
And again, the comic book
Yes.
can end. I mean, it's a never-ending story. So
But is
you're
that a
doing
valid reason to just...
continue? Yes.
All I'm saying
it's
is
making
this.
money.
This is my argument. This has always been my argument. I'm not the only one who feels this way. Eventually, these movies die out because they just, there's a formula. We can just throw this character in there and do this thing and do that. And what was the other genre of movies that did that? The Western.
Okay,
And
but Western didn't have a. I mean, Western was.
So Westerns don't have 75 years of like established history behind it.
And Western was a genre related to the times. Westerns were big because Westerns were big, but as civilization evolved and you went from horses to cars, honestly, war movies it's just another. It's a civilized Western. Fast and Furious. It's a modernized Western.
Yeah.
Instead of riding horses,
Logan was a Western.
Logan wasn't a Western. Logan was Old Man Logan. They just had to adjust the story for their need because they couldn't use Hawkeye, they couldn't use Venom, they couldn't use the Hulk. So Fox had to shift it differently, but it's not a Western.
I
It's
totally disagree. Same thing with the what's the other one? The one before it, the Wolverine. Those are both Westerns.
it's not. It's
See, that's where I feel like that's where your comic book experience taints your viewing experience.
no, because I understand what I'm selling. I'm selling a product that's
But it's a
tied
movie.
to no. I'm selling a product that's tied to a property, that's tied to merchandising, that's tied to intellectual, to IP, to all this other stuff. It will
Absolutely.
never end. You and I will, like I said before, you and I will be 6 feet under, but the character, the story will never change. They can't change because they lose. If they change it in any way and they don't use it, they lose the rights. That's why Wolverine's back. I mean, it's a regurgitated product. I get it. I've been reading comics for 35 years. I can pull storylines now that's been done before. I mean, I'm sitting here doing, okay, how many times, but they have to reinvent to keep it going, but they always go back to the same thing. When it comes to movies, because you're talking about rights, you can't use certain things. Things are going to change. They're going to try to find a way, but that doesn't mean they're making a Western. How is Logan a Western? I mean, I don't see a Western in it.
I mean, that's a different debate altogether. But I think for me, what's gonna save it and what stops it from being just oversaturated and stale is you're getting new fucking movies with new characters every single time.
And that's what you'll see.
And there's so many. And now the more.
So in 20 years, you're gonna still see this.
I think maybe 20. Maybe in 20 years, then or maybe even 10 years it might be. But if I watch Iron Man 7 times, then okay, I'm gonna get tired of Iron Man because the movies obviously they have a formula, right? There's action, adventure, whatever. But when you introduce a new character every time, like right now, when you see Black Panther, it's gonna be something you might see vestiges of similar storylines.
Well,
but
we assume
it's gonna be a completely new world that you haven't seen.
We assume
before.
it's gonna be different.
Well, I mean, I know it's going to be different. We've
The
never seen
world's
Wakanda
different.
before.
The world's
yeah.
different, but
And
the
I mean,
story. We assume the story.
But the story is the same.
A hero
just like
epic.
in comic books.
A hero epic is always going to be a hero epic, man.
And to me, they have the money now. This is my problem. They have the money now. They have the resources, like you're saying. So why give us same formulaic stuff?
But why change it? There's an old saying: if it ain't broke, don't fix the damn thing.
They did change it. They 100% changed it because those first few of movies that were Marvel are nothing like anything that's coming out now.
Those are intro
But
movies.
that was introduced. I mean, after a while,
See,
you
now
can't
it's
run.
but now it's qualifying.
So you had to do something, and if it were, look, Doctor Strange is no different than Iron Man, and you're talking what 10, 12 years later, literally Doctor Strange, you can put and you can compare. It's fucking the first Iron Man. The
I think
second
that's
one
a
will
bad
be
thing.
different, but it's not because Doctor Strange was good.
I enjoyed Doctor Strange, but it had major shortcomings, mainly the villains. Marvel villains suck. So when you have this,
see, that's where we start talking rights. I think the big reason why Marvel villains have sucked is because they haven't had rights to any of the good ones. Who's the best Marvel villain?
I have no idea.
Loki.
Loki.
Well, are you in the
Dr.
movies?
No, in
In
the
the
movies.
movies.
In the movies.
Oh.
Loki's been the best one.
Oh, yeah.
Loki's the only heavy hitter that they've had the rights to.
Well, they had Red Skull and they threw him down the toilet.
That also
but
had
that
to do
was
with the actor.
I mean,
yeah,
there's things, and if Look,
The Mandarin also in Iron Man.
Why couldn't we do the Mandarin?
They clearly named the person the Mandarin.
Yeah, and they had to completely change the character because of the PC world we're in, and because he was a yellow fever character. Is it that the Mandarin himself is a super?
So you're telling me
character.
you can't change it and adapt it to modern times when you have the whole 10 rings element in the Iron Man thing introduced as like this Al Qaeda ISIS organization? You're telling me you couldn't have done something like that and continue to what Jon Favreau started? This is my point.
The Mandarin character itself is a magical Chinese character.
Sure.
how you
How are you going to change the 10 rings though? Like what would you have done to change the 10 rings?
Yeah, I mean, it's great what they're doing with the stones. They're merging the stones into non-existing Marvel lore, like to where like with Black Panther. One of the things I heard is that because he's able to communicate. So how do you translate a Panther god from the comic books, which works great within the pages of a comic book, to a big screen where people like? I mean, you have a genre which is like fantasy, like magic, and that doesn't work, but it's great. I mean, Lord of the Rings, there's a lot of them, Clash of the Titans and everything, but people don't know, so they're not gonna understand it. So what you do is with Black Panther, he's able to communicate because the vibranium has the Mind Stone. So that's how he's able to communicate. Because if you say that there's gods, people go, "There's gods, really? Fucking read your history." They're there. So again, you have to translate it for a general, bigger audience that doesn't understand comic books. I guarantee you, if the print run on these books were in the millions, you'd see movies exactly to the comic book. But because there isn't, and the movie audience surpasses the comic book audience, and they're looking at them as entertainment. It's like, yeah, let's go out and see a movie. They have to make it for that general audience. And in my opinion, Marvel has, and this is my opinion, I'm not the Marvel head, whatever, but they've been able to translate everything pretty damn close and make it to where, as a fan, I'm like, I don't feel insulted.
I don't disagree with that at all. I agree with that.
That they're, oh, well, why did you do this? It's like, no, it makes sense. It does it for a different tone.
You know what? The other thing is, there's still a good time. Like, Thor Ragnarok is a paper-thin fucking movie.
And I think that's I don't think it needs to be a paper-thin movie. That's my argument.
But it was entertaining. I had a blast watching the movie.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I'm not saying that that's bad, but I'm just saying people will get tired of that. Because it don't. Okay,
and then that goes right back to Fast and the Furious. People haven't got tired of Fast and the Furious.
I can't wait for 10, 11, 12, 13, 5. And make 30 of them. Have Toretto's son grow up and take over the dad's legacy.
I haven't
don't
seen
care.
the other ones after 2, but what they did is they brought in directors and let the directors do what they wanted to do.
No, they brought in
Justin Lin.
Story. No, they again.
And then they brought in James Wan.
But it's Vin Diesel's property. Without
Yeah,
Vin Diesel,
I think
without his
I think that's
direction,
when they
bullshit.
did Tokyo Drift, they weren't expecting to make another 17 fucking movies. Like the Tokyo Drift.
and they realized that the movie is about Toretto. It's not about anybody else in that movie. It's not about Michelle Rodriguez's character. It's not about Tyrese or anybody else. It wasn't even about Paul Walker, which I love the character. And I'm sad that he's gone. I cry every time I see that that 7. I'm like, it's a freaking tearjerker for me. But at the end of the day, it's about Toretto. So he came in, and he's directing. I mean, he's, and I know that because I have customers that work at Universal, and we talk.
Well,
and they're on the project. So they tell
it's
me.
Vin Diesel's Die Hard, basically, is what it's.
So. But
that's why he got all
book,
butthurt because The Rock wanted to do a spin-off without him.
No,
That's totally what it was about.
Yeah, they weren't getting along. So.
Because
I heard that was fake for whatever.
It might have been, but that's what was publicized. I mean, my point is though, it has nothing to do with the comic book. Yes, I go to pay, and with the exception of Ant-Man, that's the only.
That was a fun movie too.
Yeah, but I refuse to watch it, which is actually bringing up my point now because
he's a movie fanboy.
No, because I don't like studios not giving directors the right to be directors.
But again, you're missing the point.
We'll fundamentally disagree on that.
No, you're missing the point with the Disney Marvel brand. I told you before, they're not their movies are there to promote their brand,
I understand
not
that.
your brand.
I understand. So I'm
if
going to
you're-
resent that
but
until the
no,
rest
you
of
don't have to
time.
resent
I'm
because
going
they're not
to.
giving you, they're not holding a gun to your head. They say, look, you can work for us, but this is what we want you to, what we
That's
want you
actually
to
not
do.
what happened for Edgar Wright specifically, though.
But that's what they want, to elevate their brand,
They
not
let him
your
work
brand.
on it for. They let him work on it for 10 years
On which one?
on Ant-Man, and then you always tell this story. I don't remember the names, but basically there was a shift after Phase 1, and that's why Joss Whedon got weeded out, because they went from the writers were in control of Marvel Studios of the comic books, and then they got thrown out, and then Disney stepped in.
The first phase of Marvel's
Well,
of the MCU had actual comic book writers.
Yeah,
that
I
were,
remember that.
advising.
Right.
And
And after that, at right before Age of Ultron, they got rid of all of them.
which included Edgar Wright, and he had been developing his movie because it didn't fall in line with what you're saying, the brand.
But then
that's my
but then
problem
the mouse
is the
stepped in,
brand.
But then Disney stepped in and told everybody, start making peace, and that's the thing with Disney. They'll let you do your own. They'll let you make, as long as you make money, they'll let you. But if you're starting to friction, they'll step in. They say, look, enough is enough. Let's get back to. At the end of the day, it's
I
the
mean, I
Disney
think
Marvel brand.
like Age of Ultron sucked. I didn't like Age of Ultron, but I
It
think
was all right. It didn't suck, but it was all right.
Everything after Age of Ultron's been pretty solid for the most
Well, you
part.
can tell that everything got squashed and they're back. Whatever. I mean,
But-
But I mean, just because I'm not going to just say, yo, it's Disney, I'm going to fall in love and that's it. Because look what Christopher Nolan did with Batman. Okay.
I'm gonna be hated, but dude,
Regardless
we have not seen the best Batman movie yet. If you want to talk a good Batman movie, we can go to the first Tim Burton, but that was a Joker movie. And other than that, I'm still waiting for that Batman movie that's gonna get me out of the theater and go.
You can
and
make
go,
the argument that the
"Oh."
best Batman movie of the Nolan trilogy was also a Joker movie.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
that was the point earlier.
Sure, but that's
and
not my
The
point.
Dark Knight Rises was trash.
But that's not
That,
my
like,
point.
He lost all credibility with me. With
Yeah,
that,
and
that
and
last
what
one.
and what did he try to do on the last one? He tried to make Dark Knight Returns. The other two movies were not based on anything.
Why do a story that has no outside of a 25-year-old, 30-year-old miniseries that everybody was blown by has no effect in at least I don't think it has any effect in content. What are you going to go there when you have so many other stories that you can make a freaking movie?
And that was
why
the
do
first-
even an origin movie yet again? Fuck, how many Batman origins do I need?
I love Batman Begins.
Dude, I don't need. There's been like every movie's a Batman origin.
But it's
Enough.
like, but see, it's
just
like
tell
you
me a
s-
story.
It's like you say all the time, the movie's not for you. It's for people who are watching it for the first time, who've never seen Batman.
It's the same
never
people. It's the same
Marvel
people.
Marvel didn't do it with Spider-Man though.
No,
I mean,
exactly. They just did
Well,
a
that's because there was literally a Spider-Man movie that just came out a few years ago. The last Batman movie prior to Batman Begins was what, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one? That was
Look.
at least 10 years prior to that, at least.
Dude, at the end of the day, we all know. If you watch the 60s show, you know Batman origin. You do not need another Batman origin movie. Look at Ben Affleck.
But I
Same,
think-
the
But
Batfleck,
I think you're shifting the conversation away from what my point is, which is the artistic integrity of the director being allowed to do more than
So
just
you
what
create a character that looks like Batman, and you make a movie, the Batman movie you want, and see if it floats. If it floats, then the studio's gonna have to look at you and go, yeah, okay, we'll let you do it. But until then, just because you have other hits, that doesn't mean you can translate what you've done, which is your vision, into a character that is visionless, in my opinion, because it'll never end. And people try to change, but the core Batman is Batman. You can't change it. You can't change these characters. So that's the problem. People come in thinking they can do better, but you can't, because it's better. It is the way it is right now. It's good. Just fucking tell me a story. You got plenty of stories to translate. Fucking do it.
Yeah,
Don't change it.
I think when it comes to these comic book characters, you're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of your creative vision when it comes to the actual character, because you have 75 years of established.
I don't know,
I had a
man.
friend. I had a friend that I talked to him 2 days ago. He's in visual effects and everything. He told me he went with Sam Raimi when Sony first did the first Spider-Man movie. He went in the meeting with Sam Raimi. It was him, Sam, the lady in charge of Sony at the time, and the special effects guy or the costume, one of the guys. And him and Sam, they're sitting there, and you're talking Sam Raimi that loves comics, and he
I
had,
love Sam Raimi.
and he's great. they're sitting there and they're listening to this someone talk about the fact that everything that's been done with Spider-Man has been shit. Everybody that wrote Spider-Man has no fucking clue what to do with Spider-Man. They know what to do and they'll make it great. And they're sitting there going, he's like, what the fuck did I walk into? Because all of us, you're dealing with people that they think they know better. You can't know better. This product has been here.
See, I'm not saying that. That's not my argument.
But
I'm saying allowing.
But no, you're saying to
opportunity.
give. But that's where you counter. Because again, if you're saying allow creativity, you can't. Not with these characters that are a certain way, and they're gonna be a certain way for the rest of our freaking lives, their lives. Just work with what you got. Take the best story, maybe twist it, but you can't rewrite something that's perfect. I'm sorry. Whether they're perfect or not, you cannot rewrite something that's been there and it's worked and it works time after fucking time.
Well, I mean, I think if we're gonna go back to Edgar Wright too, like we have no idea what he was doing with that script either.
I mean, it's all you can read it. It's online.
Yeah, but you don't know if it's gonna translate.
He's
Whatever.
yet to make a bad movie for me personally.
I'm not involved in. So what has he done that I would recognize?
His last movie was Baby Driver. He did.
He did a Hot Fuzz. He did all the
Shaun of the Dead.
all the Simon Pegg movies.
Movies
like,
that I'm watching. I look and I go, I don't care. It's not gonna fucking. It's not. Maybe it's not my genre, and I accept that. But even if I were to watch it, I could probably.
He's almost like an English Kevin Smith. He's better than Kevin Smith, but I feel like he's like right around that. But that's
the big thing is though, dude. Tarantino Star Trek. I can't wait for it. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah. No, I did hear about
I'll
that.
believe it when I see it.
No, it's actually in
I've
talks.
heard it from a few people.
He's hired a screenwriter for it.
That should be interesting. Django Chained in Space.
It's gonna be rated
R.
That was his one stipulation. It's gonna be rated R.
I don't know if I can buy it.
And it's
rated R. I mean, look, if he doesn't, I would like for him not to
see Captain Kirk dropping F-bombs.
See, that's the thing. I don't think the language is. But if you want to make it more violent, go for it. People dying, blood, but to drop the F-bomb left and right.
Now we're going to my problem with the whole thing. Why not?
Because
why not?
Star Trek has been established a certain fucking way.
So what?
So that's why you have Orville that can do what they want because it's not Star Trek. And if it works, it works. Maybe then they'll be like, well, but again.
What if it does well? What if the people say you're wrong and they love that?
It's gonna do well because Tarantino's name's attached to it. But the last 3 movies he made have been shit. So I mean,
I've enjoyed the last. Tarantino movie, but I haven't.
Hateful Eight, it was terrible.
Dude, I've tried watching it and I'm like, I heard so much, and one of my friends edited it, and I'm
Glorious
like,
Bastards was not shitty.
I can't sit through it. I'm like, I'm trying
Glorious
to.
Bastards is overrated.
I'm trying to fast forward to the Room, but whatever, Again. We are individuals. We like, we can, agree to disagree, and we like what we like. But, whatever.
Well, if you don't take chances, then you're just
take chances with unknown products to create something else.
But you don't even get it.
In
my opinion, Ant-Man is an unknown product.
Any Marvel character is a known product because it's never. This is the last 10 years have been an explosion of
Miss
comic
Marvel
book movies.
is an unknown product.
We don't.
These are movies.
But now they have phases. They have things that are set out that you need to connect to that. I don't know.
I understand that. That's my whole thing. I get that part.
And I don't know what.
So every single movie's gonna have to fit into the universe. We can't have any standalone.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the comic books fit in the fucking universe.
But see that. But then you're.
But how is that redundant? It's not. It's great.
I mean, and then DC.
I'm not saying
DC
it's redundant.
Was trying
DC
to
could work.
DC was trying to do their own standalone thing, and it's not fucking working, man. So I mean.
I don't know. I think you and I both know that what you just said is full of shit. Because you've said it numerous times. No, that creative studio control is not a good thing, and that these directors it's all bullshit.
No. I've said that directors that they pick, I'm not going to give them as much credit because they're not going to have, like, for example, Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay was offered Black Panther first, and she said no because they basically told her, like, you're only going to have so much input on this film.
And everybody wants, I want to be the one. It's like, you can't be the one.
I could give a shit about the directors for these Marvel movies right now.
I just want to see, I want to see that book come up to life. That's all I want. And not to look like the '90s Captain America with the padded uniform, or the Fantastic Four, the CG arm stretch, and all the money went into the Thing uniform. You know, I want to see shit that will make me believe that Thor can probably land on top of that fucking pole and summon the lightning and strike everything down. I want to see fucking Captain America, Falcon. I mean, that's what I want to see.
Well, okay, and I'm not comic book
My kids want to see that because kids love that shit.
So correct me if I'm wrong, if I misquote the book titles or whatever. But for example, I don't know how what was the book where Batman was like a communist and like.
But that's
Superman,
an Elseworld story. It's called Red Sun.
Okay.
So they took again.
Wait, hold on. Let me say my point first.
Go for it. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Now, how was it received? First question.
I mean, it sold well. I mean, back then the numbers were high. So we can argue, it's like, why did it sell well? Because when it came out 10, 15, 20 years ago, people were reading comics. A lot more people were reading comics.
That was a one-off story. It's not
it was a two-part storyline, and it was set in a parallel universe.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. That wouldn't have existed, right, if you just stuck to everything. Batman had to be one way. Someone clearly had an idea.
But it didn't go past that, bro.
I understand. A movie doesn't need to go past
yes,
a
it
movie.
Does. Yes, it does.
But you can look up what that comic's going for on eBay, and it's not going for shit.
But that's not my point.
No, but that is the point.
That is not my point.
It wasn't successful, though. Somebody tried to make the character different.
It was a limited run.
And it wasn't successful.
But you can't make limited run with because again, the movies are based on your current continuity, not Elseworld storylines,
Sure.
not what ifs, not this. It's based on what, because again, they want you to go get it so you can follow it to some extent. Red Sun, as cool as it might have been, it's like the Marvel what ifs. Hey, what if Carnage was
And they're
Herald
making
of
them,
Galactus?
but they're making them though. That's my point.
They're making who?
They are making what ifs or the red. They do make.
They
those.
make it for extra sales.
They must make it for me.
No, they make it for us, but we understand that it's just what ifs because we know the look. It goes back to Bill Gemmas back in 2000. He tried to replace the old Marvel continuity with the Ultimate continuity because he said, "Oh, it's too convoluted. People don't understand. They need something fresh."
Right.
What the fuck is that at? Where is that universe at?
Nobody gives a shit about
Nobody gives a shit about the Ultimate, the updated version of the Marvel universe that started in year 2000,
Well,
and
who gave them
everything
the money
is
to do that, though?
It's contemporary. It's not.
But who
It's
gave
a
him the
fucking
money to do that?
The what?
Who gave him the money to do that?
No, he was in charge. So Marvel, he was in charge of Marvel, so he wanted to do it.
And 2000 was like the sales were plummeting too. That was a bad.
You know what I mean? You know, and it's like
they were trying to jumpstart it because
and it didn't work. It didn't work. Nobody cares. The only good thing out of that universe was Ultimate Spider-Man and then, Miles Morales. That's literally the only good thing out of that universe.
Well, I mean, the Black Nick Fury came from the Ultimate universe.
That's for the movies, and he created that because he wanted Samuel Jackson. He created that role, that character for Samuel Jackson.
Well, in my mind, all these examples, whether or not it did well, I get that's your point that it needs to do well in order for it to survive. I get that. I agree with you 100%. But they're still taking chances. They're still doing different things. It's not just Batman.
Take chances with things that make sense. With something that, and again, it sucks. I get it. Oh my God, I can't do. But when you have something that's been proven for 70 years, and it's tied to copyrights, to other things bigger than just a movie or a comic book, but it's tied to perpetual rights or intellectual rights or toy lines, whatever. It's gonna stay the same.
But you don't know until you try something
But you
different.
don't know because if you lose,
Batman's not the same Batman as 1937
if you lose the
Batman.
initial rights, you can't do shit after that.
I understand that.
So
but,
there's no reason to take a
But
risk.
Marvel is owned by Disney.
But there's no reason to take a risk.
I get
because
that.
it works.
But I'm just saying.
You wanted to take a risk because you want to do your thing. Well, you know what? Create your character that's a Batman knockoff. Get out there, raise the money, make it, and if it's better than what the original is, then fuck it, brother. I will sweep the floor for you everywhere you walk. I will make a statue with your name on it. I will worship you as a god of movies. But brother, it's not gonna happen. So again, you want the check, you do. It's okay to work for a check. It's okay to listen to your boss and get paid and move on. Use your creativity on your own. Nobody says that. But again, I look at and I see all these people that want to be in. Where are you? You're struggling. You're getting jobs back in the studio work too because your shit ain't working. You know why? Because there's a gluttony of everybody wanting to do some
that's
the
not
same
the
thing.
real reason why. I know that's a whole nother podcast, but I
Yeah.
understand what you're. I
This
understand what you're. I get what you're saying, but that's not
This
the.
already got derailed. Like we're way past where we need to be. So let's wrap this up with some picks for
This week
for the Wednesday the 17th coming
of next week.
Yeah. How do you feel about these Aquaman Joshua Middleton covers? They seem to be they seem to be selling out every time he comes out. Not that anybody's reading the actual book though. That's
Well, the thing is, look, the DC variants, like any other variant, both Marvel and DC, most dealers, most collectors don't care for the variants. So the dealer is going to order, unless there's like a crazy, like a Matina or something, you know what I mean? But most of the guys will stick to the regular cover.
Yeah.
And because of that, DC doesn't, Marvel, they don't overprint on the variants. So the variants will come out selling out right off the bat.
Right.
You know, Middleton, I mean, he's been around for a long time, and what did he do back in the day? Because he was hot for a minute. He was really, really popular with the fans, and I mean, he's got cool art, cover work. You know, he's a great artist. I love his art. But I mean, long term, I mean, it all depends what the book does, and that's the thing is like how the book is going to do down the line. It determines, I think.
Right. I think it's for me personally. I think it's a good cheap investment because it's still cover price,
and they sell out.
And the print run's going to be lower
a lot
than
lesser than lesser than the initial run. And they're beautiful covers. I mean, he does some good stuff. I mean, you got a couple of guys. I mean, Coipel's doing the Batman covers, and Coipel, I love Coipel. Yeah. He's a Marvel, product, but he's doing Batman covers and something different.
So another Batman issue comes out on Wednesday.
I can't wait to read that one.
Okay, so that's a good one to pick up.
We talked. Tom King's been great with this relation. I mean, it's like what did I read? Somebody compare it to like a love story. It's like, but it's great because I'm seeing a side of Batman that I normally, very few people touched on that because everything's about him being Batman, not Bruce Wayne.
Something different? What?
No, he's being Batman. Everything he's trying to do, he's building that extra layer on Batman, not on Bruce Wayne. He's given Batman almost a humanized side, not that mean guy.
Well, that's not good.
A lot of people have done that before, but everybody goes back to him being that Dark Knight detective. I don't know. I guess everybody's stuck on Frank Miller's run, which, like, look, stop. It's passé. Let it go. Do something. Write a good story. At the end of the day, is write a good story.
I think that's the most important thing, regardless of movies.
I mean, they're canceling all these books, and everybody's complaining. Oh, Iceman, America, all these,
all these characters nobody gave a shit about.
How about write? I mean, there's social war. What is that called?
Social justice warriors. Yeah.
How about write a good story? Maybe the book will sell. Just simple as that.
Well, with America, they tried to do the Ta-Nehisi Coates thing. They grabbed someone who'd never written a comic book before, didn't even read comics.
That sounds stupid.
And they gave her because it was like she wrote a book and she's a lesbian, so they're like, okay, let's make a lesbian Latina superhero and let's let a lesbian Latina writer. But the difference between her and Ta-Nehisi Coates is Ta-Nehisi Coates had a catalog.
He'd been
writing.
Yeah.
This is the first book this lady ever wrote.
Which is
So
you could pay me $1 million, I wouldn't be able to write you a good comic book because I don't know anything about it like that.
I mean, and this subject has been like really hot in shop talk lately. Social warrior justice, this whole, and it's a very fine line because as a business owner, I gotta be careful because it could hurt. As business owners, you have to be careful what you say because it could alienate shoppers. Yeah. Oh, you're racist. You're a bigot. You're this. I mean. I had a customer with me for 20 years and we were talking politics and again, he's all anti-Trump, he's costing me money, he's fucking up this. I'm like, look, all of them are fucking us. But I lost them because I didn't agree with them.
That's why you don't talk about the politics
at all.
And same thing with this. You gotta be real careful. It's like at the end of the day, I don't care what you do. Is it necessary to do that in a comic book? Is it necessary? Are the numbers that you're printing on this book justifying you doing it to where it brings attention. No. If you're selling this book in the millions, then great. Be all about social justice. Because that means as a million plus readers, Americans, you'll have an input. You'll reach an audience.
Yeah.
But when you're doing 10,000 units, 15,000 units,
you're not going to pull an audience out of your ass.
And then you're complaining. I mean, I'm hearing from other guys saying that, you know, all these guys are threatening on Twitter, like the writer for Iceman went on Twitter and he started blasting dealers for not ordering the book. Brother, nobody's buying the fucking book.
That's why no one wants it. It's that simple. If everyone
it's
wanted
like,
it, they'd
what do you
sell
want me to do? I have storage units full of crap from the last 20 years that I've invested. I can't get my money back on crap across the board. I can't add any more crap to my inventory. I got a wife and kids. I got a business to run. It's got to turn a profit.
Yeah.
So you know what? You want people to buy your book? Simple. Write a better story. I don't think we give a shit what these people, if they're gay, lesbian, trans, we don't care. But when you write a bad story, oh brother, I can buy 5 other books that are a lot better than that.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yep.
Simple. Write a good story.
100%.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm looking at Batman White Knight. Number 1's already at a 4th printing.
It's insane.
That's crazy. I mean, that's.
And number 2's at what? 3rd print.
Number 2's at 3rd print. Number 3's at the second print.
Second print. So. I'm pretty sure 4 sold out. So they're gonna. I think we've been solicited for a second print on number 4. It's, you know.
So if you haven't read the story, obviously, if number 1's at a 4th printing, it's a hot story.
It's a good story.
You should go and check it out. Let's see what else. How do you feel about Batwoman? You know,
it's getting canceled.
Okay, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Batwoman's getting canceled. Again, it's another one of those characters that, again, social justice warrior. You know, she's lesbian, and which is fine, but they're writing her in such. Again, tell a better story with her.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Right.
Anything you do, tell a better story. Make her interesting. Again, I don't think anybody gives a shit what you do in the bedroom.
Yeah.
But when I'm buying a book that says Batwoman, I really don't need to know things about Katie. I mean, give me Bat.
Just want to see her kick ass.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, she's supposed to be a badass fucking character.
Yeah.
She's the daughter of a general. She's got military background, blah, 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 blah. Kick some ass.
Okay. Harley Quinn has a new creative team now.
Who is it?
And Connor are gone. Frank Thierry's the writer, and the artist is Inaki Miranda. Never heard of.
Frank Thierry did stuff at Marvel. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm always weary when they change a long-standing creative team. It usually doesn't seem to work that the first team to take it over. Maybe the team afterwards.
But Amanda and Palmiotti, they've been there forever, bro.
Yeah.
They've been. Maybe they ran out of stories. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, I don't know what I don't know what Thierry's gonna do any different, because this book. I have customers that. Again, I think we're stuck buying Harley Quinn because of that Batman Adventures number 12.
Yeah.
And then Margot, you know, bringing her to life in Suicide Squad. And she was probably the most interesting character in that movie.
That's the only good thing about that movie.
You know what I mean? You know, and the cartoons, the Paul Dini cartoons. I mean, she's fun. So I think we're stuck because she's that badass woman that don't give a shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Crazy. So I think a lot of us are stuck buying the book because the hype behind it, that we built it ourselves.
Right.
So a lot of my guys are like, I want to drop the book, and they're using this point that Palmiotti to jump off the book. So because again, you have her in, and a lot of their arguments is, look, she's in Suicide Squad, where it's more relevant to what I'm reading, to where her book, it's like all over the place. I mean, it's like a guilty pleasure type of book. Yeah. Do I really need to read the title when I'm reading her Suicide Squad and she's just fucking badass? So we'll see. I mean, Thierry did some good stuff. I don't know how this is so different than what he's done before, in my opinion, you know, over at Marvel. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see.
I think that's one to check out the first issue just to see what happens.
Because the artist.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy, whoever it is, what they've done before, but it's worth a look. You know what I mean?
I don't really see anything else. I mean, unless you're into Superman and Super Sons, I don't really see.
Super Sons, fun book. I mean, that's a fun read. I mean, you're looking at Marvel, and I mean, I'm loving all new Wolverine. Has been great with the Orphan. I mean, you can see with the Marvel books, you can see a trend where everything's getting back on track now that they're gonna own the X-Men rights and the Fantastic Four rights. So their books are getting tired. The X-Men books are getting sweeter. What else do you have next? Oh, Mighty Thor next week. Dude, if you guys haven't been reading Mighty Thor, this book is this last story. It's always been good, but this last story arc, the death of Thor, oh my God, I want to see this in a movie.
This Jason Aaron, right?
Jason Aaron's been on this book forever. I want to see this storyline in the next Thor movie. It's that fucking good. I can see the cinematic, and I'm not even a movie guy, but I'm looking and I'm reading. I'm like, oh, this will be so great on the big screen. Oh my God, this goes like, holy shit, you know. Seeing Volstagg get beat up by Mangog, and he's War Thor, and he gets beat up and destroyed by Mangog. I want to see this. I want to see that hammer fucking get caught and crunched. It's amazing. So I definitely recommend the Mighty Thor, the Jason run. The last few issues, if not before. Doctor Strange is out again.
Yep, another Donny Cates, Doctor Strange.
And going back to that, they announced today that Mr. Bendis is going to write Superman, which I said it was.
Look at you,
you know. And again, he'll get Supergirl too. So watch that. I'll be right on that one too.
So Doctor Strange coming out, and it's got a variant cover coming out by I can't say his name, Shimomi Kirahama or
right.
Yeah, and I mean he's been doing a lot of Batgirl and Batgirl Birds of Prey variants for DC. It's already sold out at Midtown, and I know it's a little. This isn't your standard variant. This is a
qualifying.
So explain to a qualifying variant.
So you have your open orders variants, which are most of the DC books. Marvel has some open orders, but a lot of the Marvel covers you have to meet your quota, a percentage versus an older title to be able to qualify to order these books. Yes, you can order, once you qualify, you can order one, you can order 1,000, but if you don't meet that percentage that they ask you to, you know, you can't order it. You know, a lot of people complain about that. It's like, look, guys, nobody's holding a gun to your head to order anything. Just order what your store can sell.
Yeah.
You know your clientele. If you can't sell variants, then don't carry variants.
Right.
Don't order extras. It's no big deal. You're not going to lose any money. But again, we love to bitch and complain. But it'll be interesting to see them on a Marvel book.
Yeah. Well, that and what you just told me is just like what you just told us is like really good to think about as well. Like you're probably gonna find it for cover price if you find it. And it's probably going to be short ordered.
You
like
know,
it's not going to be.
So if you pay, you know.
So if you're a fan of his, it might be something. It's definitely something you should grab if you're a fan.
Because it's his first Marvel,
right.
You know, cover. So, but again, don't be surprised if it comes out and all of a sudden it jumps $1 to $2 above cover, because again, it is a qualifying variant. Not every store is going to want to order it, or if they order, they're going to order in such limited quantities, because nobody wants to sit on variants.
Right.
You know, so, you know, check, look.
If you get it for cover price, it's something to put it to tuck away. You know, that's the way to look at it.
5-10 years. That seems to be the pattern that I've noticed with books, modern books, because the print run is so low, and they change artists that every so many years people don't want to try anything new, so they look for the older stuff that they passed before everything goes up.
Right. So just think of it that way. I mean, I wouldn't pay more than cover price for it if someone's.
I don't pay $5-6. Shit. Come on.
Well, you know what I'm saying. If you buy it from Cat, you pay $5 or $6. But if you're out on the other side of the country or something, you know.
What are you talking about? You're not paying $5 or $6. I'm gonna charge you $5 or $6 now.
Star Wars is good, solid stuff. You know,
yeah.
There's some good stuff coming out.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna interject, but I was looking at the Marvel calendar that they put out, and in March, there's a Conan. The art for March, I believe, or April, is Conan the Barbarian.
Really?
I'm like, is that a Fox property?
I'm not sure.
Because if that's the case, Marvel just got back Conan too.
That's right.
For them to put it, because they haven't published Conan in
since the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it went to Dark Horse. So
it's a weird property for me, because I know Marvel printed it for a long time.
A long time.
But it was never part of Marvel continuity. It was never part of the Marvel universe.
Sold. It went into the 200s with the numbering. It went really high, well into the 80s.
Now, some of those old books from the 70s, they're worth, you know, they're
nice.
solid. Yeah, 50,
yeah,
60 bucks.
So a friend of mine pointed out, it's like, hey, look, Conan's on the Marvel calendar. So if it's part of the Fox deal, then you know what? You might get a relaunch on Conan out of Marvel again.
Interesting. I don't know how the modern generation feels about Conan, but
Well,
you know, he's
yeah,
always
that's
for
the
me. He's
thing.
always going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know that one, the reboot they did with Jason Momoa. It was just a bad movie. But how about any indie stuff? I mean, I feel like for a while there last year, Image books were flying off Image #1s were flying off the shelves. And I don't know if it was because the stories were good or because people wanted to get the next Walking Dead.
That's pretty much it.
So yeah, like I don't see the way I do it is when I see the Image book comes out and there's a #1 that comes out, I like to read the description of the book, and then I ask myself, is this something that I think could potentially become a television property? You know,
You can't live like that though.
no.
You can't read like that.
No, definitely not. But what I'm saying is with if we're talking just speculation here, when it comes to the Image books, like you're probably never gonna you're never gonna get your money back. You're never gonna turn a profit on it. So make sure you read the description to see what the books are because they have a lot of good reads.
They do.
They do. I mean, I like Kill or Be Killed. I mean, I like all of Ed Brubaker stuff. The Donny Cates stuff that he's put out is
right?
good stuff. Yeah, well, he did Redneck. He did God Country. That was a limited series. And then what's his face? The guy that was on Avengers for a long time that decided to.
Oh, Hickman.
Hickman's got good stuff.
And Hickman and what's his name with Opena? Was it Hickman Opena on 7 to Eternity? No, that's
well, it was Hickman.
Yeah, Hickman. Yeah,
it was Hickman. Yeah. So there's good writers that write for Marvel on occasion or used to write for Marvel doing indie books out, and I mean just look at the descriptions. But I mean, Image has a lot of weird you know, what if a werewolf decided to open a barber shop?
Shirtless bear fighter.
Yeah, I mean there you go, shirtless bear fighter.
And now Savage Dragon has turned into a very pornographic comic book that, in my opinion, should be polybagged and solicited in the adult section because, woo, there's some rough shit going in that book. Yeah. I'm like, okay, are you not selling it? So now you're trying something different because
I don't know. I mean,
it's bad.
Yeah, and that's a character that's been around since the early '90s, and I think it's time to, you know,
you run out of stories.
Yeah, he was an original Image character when all these guys left Marvel and DC to start Image, and I think it's time. You know, maybe it might be time to retire because he was never that big a character back in the '90s either. So
I mean, but the last 2 issues
it's been rough.
Has been rough, and you know, we're all adults. We all like what we like, but honestly, and again, if you're gonna be that adult of a book, it shouldn't be solicited with the Image titles. It shouldn't even be mature. It should be adult only, and it should come polybag because there's some rough stuff in that book. I mean, from if it sits on the shelf and it's like it's not my job to make sure that I polybag it. Dude, be responsible. You publish it, fine. Publish what you publish, but let's solicit it under an adult label and let's polybag the book so that way, if by any chance I don't have time to put the book in the bag and the board, no kid's gonna or adult gonna open and go, what the hell are you selling?
And I also think polybagging it might give it enough of a gimmick where more people will buy it too. So that's just
if you're trying to look for sales.
Yeah. I mean it's something to think about, but that's gonna do it for this week. Thanks for everything, Cat. Anything you want to add? Any sales or anything coming up that we?
No, nothing crazy. Just keep on reading. Just keep on reading. Buy a comic book. Stop drinking.
All right. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Peace.